And welcome to the Review Tuesday. My name's Ruben, and this is my review for episode 7 of The Wheel of Time. Have to thank Amazon Prime PR people for sending us the episode. I'll put a picture up here of all the things I'm not allowed to talk about, and I'll blur them out. It's, I think, my favorite episode of the series so far, but also the most frustrating episode I've seen. If you watched episode 6, and I presume you have, if you're watching this review, you'll know that the team, they've just gone into the ways. Looked like they were leaving Dan, but we're not quite sure. And then they go into the ways. We know a little bit about it. If you haven't read the books, you'll know a little bit from what we've been told by one of the characters. But I will say, this part of this episode, I would say the first half, opens with a bang. There's an action sequence that is not to do with our young Dragon Reborn wannabes or going to bees, maybe, depending who is it. They're still keeping us on the edge of our seats there, but there is an action sequence that it starts off with that is so brilliantly done. Had my heart in my throat. Because of a protagonist that is on screen of what is happening. It's very stark contrast from where we were, and it showcases something that is going to be concluded by the end of the episode. It's kind of a big reveal, and I think this episode is the episode for big reveals, without me doing any reveals, so be excited about that. But I have to say, it evoked a response from me that I wasn't expecting. A no moment when I saw what was happening on screen. It's a character you don't know, you haven't seen. The action sequence in it is brilliantly executed, reminded me a little bit of Game of Thrones, that sort of action, but also had emotion to a character that we don't know at all. Brilliantly executed. So we have this amazing opening, and then we have our characters who are in the ways, and it feels very Lord of the Rings sort of moment, and we get to see some powers manifested because obviously things go wrong, and our heroes have to do the hero stuff again without kind of spoiling it. A lot of fun in that the ways see. Mostly this episode is to do with Lan. We find out much more about his character. We kind of have more backstory to him, which adds a lot of weight to the character, more understanding of his heritage, where he comes from, where he grew up. All of the set pieces for this as well are stunning, and where it's leading us into the 8th episode, it kind of has me worried for the story, because now that I've seen episode 7, I'm wondering how the hell they complete this particular arc that we're on in one episode, and I would say that they can't, unless it's like a 2.5-hour episode, feature long, and they're going to really wrap up all those stories, at least this one story. It feels like they're going to leave us on a cliffhanger, because I know they've taken parts of the book, I believe, well, one of the books, and then maybe snippets from the others. You can correct me in the comments below if that's not the case, but I think they've taken bits of multiple books. Anyway, it does feel like that we're just skimming the surface of where the story is now starting to evolve. I knew that they probably weren't going to end up their destination straight away, but it does feel like, oh, how are they going to complete it in the 8th episode? Because really this is another kind of staging post, really giving us a kind of backstory of the Lan character, what's happening with our main protagonist, the kind of not bumping of heads, but the emotional turmoil they're going through because they know what they've had to do and what has just happened to their group. And so as they start preparing themselves for kind of this final step, they have been told, like, will they come back? Will they survive this? If they are not the Dragon Reborn, what will happen to them? All of that is playing in their minds, and is showcased quite well in a new location, which is very interesting with the kind of set creations. But it also tells us what's going to happen in the next episode. Well, starts to. I liked where this was going, but it like I said, it now leaves me worried about how much of a cliffhanger they're going to leave us at the end of episode 8. I presume 8 is going to be all out action and worry and misdirection probably for some of the episode, and then going to hopefully have our characters together fight a big bad and not just leave us like a chess piece. Sometimes these series do that. They have all the characters in various places at the end of a season, and then leave us for like a year to kind of worry about what's going to happen next. I know this series have had a bit of a mixed response. Some have loved it that have read the books, some have not loved it, or some in fact have hated it that have read the books. And I think for the most part, people that haven't read the books have enjoyed what the characters are doing, the world, the use of how they use the one power, the magics, and some of the characters having a decent backstories now developed, new interesting characters. I think from in that perspective, it's a really interesting series. Let me know in the series so far, in the TV series, not the books, which character has been your favorite so far, and what are you hoping to see from episode 7 and 8. I'd love to know your thoughts. If you have read the books, which character do you think they've given the most justice to in comparison? I think that's an interesting question to ask. As always, thanks so much for watching these reviews without any plot spoilers. Obviously, I have a list of things I can't talk about until it's released. If you do want me to do spoilers and talk about the little bits of like my favorite bits or how they use the power or certain characters' motivations and how they got there, I would love to talk about that, but only if there's demand for it. So let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long Tuesday.